So because the residual fluid, when you have urine left over in the bladder, what happens is it'll start to build like bacteria and it causes irritation, which is another reason why we have to rule this out. So as we're going in and we're checking after you've peed, we're just checking really to see how much urine is left in the bladder. So then after that, we go into a cystoscopy, where basically they're just going inside and they're looking around the bladder to see what's going on. And then they have to do a bladder and a urethral biopsy. So they go in and they take a sample of the bladder and the biopsy, and they have to look under a microscope to see what else is going on. Sometimes it's a lot of different things that can be causing it. You could just have, like, in males, of course, prostate problems, and then a lot of times within the bladder, you could just have common older problems, like where it's not stretching as much and it's not being able to hold as much pee, because as we grow older, everything kind of loosens up. And then you have a bladder stretching. So what they do is they go in, and this is why the rugae, which are the folds that we were talking about, becomes very important with IC, is because what they do is when they go in to do a bladder stretching, they will fill the bladder like a water balloon. They will fill it to see how much it's stretched, because the bladder, it can hold up to 2,000 cc's, which is 2,000 milliliters. Not that you want it to hold that much, but you can hold it up because it'll start here, but as it fills, it's just stretching. So what they'll do is see how much you can hold and how much is coming out. So that's why they do a bladder stretching. And what they're looking for is to see if it's only going to a certain extent of stretching. We know then that it's something going on. So this is also a part of diagnosing IC. Then you have a prostate fluid culture. For males only, this is a very unfortunate process. Most times males are asleep during this process because, as you know, in order to test the prostate, you have to go in through the anal canal. And what they do is they take their fingers around the prostate and they milk it. This is very painful, so most of the time men are asleep when this is happening, because as they're milking it, all you're feeling is, all they're doing is just pulling out fluid from the prostate, which is very painful in our males. So then, what do we need to do for this to be tolerable, shall I say? Because as you can see, it is no cure for this. It's no cure. It's only lifestyle changes, and it's only being able to deal with the problem. So most of the time, they tell you, of course, everything. If you're smoking, just stop. Smoking can be the cause of a lot of things. So they tell you to stop smoking because the veins or the veins inside the bladder. What happened is that you collapse the veins, and that also causes more irritability in the bladder. Low impact exercises, unfortunately, if you're a person that loves to do like a lot of running, every step you take is going to be painful. So they recommend something like a slow walk, or, to be honest with you, swimming is probably one of the best exercises because it's low impact. Avoid foods highly acidic, so you're avoiding like your lemons and your tomatoes. Eventually, any food that's high in acid. Wear loose clothing because you're having abdominal pain and discomfort. For my women that love to wear like tight and fitting clothes, this is a no-go, because all you're doing is putting pressure on that, and you're trying to avoid pressure at all costs. Retrain the bladder. So this comes with a lot of Kegel exercises, and what happens is that you're tightening and then you're releasing the pelvic floor muscles. And the reason why is not because it's so much help, is that you're trying to be able to hold your pee longer. Instead of the every 10 minutes, you're trying to train your bladder to hold it for as much as it can until at that point it becomes unbearable. Cut down on stress. Stress can be very inflammatory to this system, to IC. The bladder is already stressed, and then adding stress on top of stress only compacts the situation and makes it worse. So they do tell you to calm down on that. Multiple medication trials, and as you can see, I put trials here, is because they'll try steroids, amitriptyline, and Pitocin, and what's happening is that these aren't they don't always work. It's a trial and error. That's why it's essentially called practicing medicine, because sometimes you can try something with one person and don't work with another person. And with IC, it's not it don't respond to every different type of medication. Another thing that they talk about is DMOs, I'm sorry. And what that is doing is removing radicals out of your system. So you, as you know, or you may not, that when you drink stuff such as when you drink stuff high in like antioxidants, the reason you're drinking stuff in high antioxidants is to get rid of the radicals. And one way to create radicals that a lot of people don't know is like microwavable food. So what's happening in that microwavable food is that, I'm not saying microwave food are bad for you, but what I'm saying is that once you put it in the microwave, you create free radicals. So by drinking antioxidants, you get rid of it. And the reason why you want to get rid of it within the bladder is because antioxidants also irritates the bladder, which is why we take and drink fluids to keep the system flushed out. If all else fails, you have to redirect the urine from the bladder, and this usually results in you having to walk around with a bag outside of your system so that the pee can come into it, just so you can be able to live with this. Unfortunately, that is all. It's a lot to it, but it's not a lot to it because it's not understood. So thank you for listening. I hope you all have a great day, and see you soon.